I'm filming an eyeshadow video and I'm not even wearing eyeshadow today. Just eyeliner and oil. That's all, apparently. Hey, it's me. So today, as you can tell from the title, I'm doing the eyeshadow palette tag. Now I know this isn't my typical content. I feel like I say that at the beginning of my videos a lot. Do I have typical content? Anyway, I seen another YouTuber do this tag. Her name is Smoky Glow. I will link her in the description box. Anyway, I watched her do this tag and I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it would be fun if I went ahead and did the tag as well. I've seen the list. I have the list right here in front of me, and so let's get started. The first question is, show us your newest palette. So I have here Resilient by Blended Girl Cosmetics. Recently I've decided that I really want to show love to indigenous owned brands, so I've been trying to make the majority of my cosmetic purchases from indigenous owned brands, so I'll be getting more soon. But this is the Resilient palette. I still keep it in the sleeve here, and I guess I can take that off. And this is the colors. Yeah, there isn't a single color I haven't played with yet, so you've seen me wear it a couple times on my channel. I don't really know how to talk about palettes. I really like to wear these maroon type shades. So the next question is, show us your oldest palette. So my oldest palette is this baby right here. This was actually my very first purchase from a brand that was more expensive than what you can find at Walmart anyway. I believe it was right after Christmas 2016 that I bought this palette, and I have no idea if it still works, honestly, because I have not used it in months. I mean, I really don't need to use it now because I have the Resilient palette. Let me hold on a second, because you have these red shades, you have that there, you have this as a kind of a replacement from Tempera, so you have these two, and then we have like orangey shades, and there's this is like a replacement for Primavera. Like, wow, this is like a dupe but with a couple more shades, and it's half the price, and you're supporting an indigenous brand. So I just got a bunch of glitter like in my nail. Okay, so this next question is a little, it depends. So the question is, show your most expensive palette. So I'm gonna talk about the for real ones first, and then I'll talk about the kind of technically palette. So I have here Sultry by Anastasia and Life's a Drag by Lunar Beauty. Both of these palettes were $45. I'll go ahead and show the Sultry one because I know I'm going to talk about the other one. This is the Sultry palette, and I actually really like this palette. This shade I find a little useless, and it was what a lot of people were drawn to with this palette. I like this palette because of like the cool tones, these grays, the cool browns. I think that they look really good on my skin tone because I have like an olivey undertone. Oh, and the Cyborg shade, really good. I don't wear this palette nearly enough. I really need to like dig it out every now and then because it should still be good. And the technically palette is the Riviera palette, and this is because I did not buy the palette by itself. I actually bought the PR kit. I don't know if Anastasia still does this, but when they released this, they gave people the option to purchase their PR kit which came with the palette, a beach ball, which was really cute. I took that to Florida with me that year. And a water bottle, which I still use to this day. And all of the above came up to, I believe, $70. So the palette itself, I'm not sure how much it costs, but I did pay $70 for the whole shebang. So yeah, this is the Riviera palette. It's all right. I actually have only used it like a handful of times, which is awful considering how much money I paid for it. I really need to use this blue shimmer sometime. I think the majority of the looks that I did with this was like with the purple and the pinks. Okay, so the next question is, show us your most affordable palette. Now this I don't really know because I have these two palettes here and I think I remember how much they cost, but I don't exactly remember, and they're both like sold out, so I can't double check the price. So I'm just gonna say the Resilient palette I think was like 20 bucks. So yeah, there's that. It's sold out, so I can't double check. I already showed it to you, so I'm not going to open it up again. But the other one would be this Morphe 25L. This was released a year ago in June 2019, where 100% of the proceeds were being donated to the Trevor Project for Pride. So I want to say that this was roughly around the same price, but I wholeheartedly might believe that the Resilient palette was more affordable and better quality. So I mean, like, if we're gonna weigh the pros and cons between price and quality, then okay, I vote Resilient. Okay, so show us your everyday palette. Now this is why I didn't show Life's a Drag before, because when I tell you this is my everyday palette, even if I'm using another eyeshadow palette, and let me tell you why. I don't know what it is with this palette, but I absolutely love it. We have all these neutrals here. This is the best black I've ever used and the best white I've ever used. And then we have these colors here. And when I say that I use this palette every single day, even if I'm using another palette on my eyes, it's because I don't use typical eyebrow products on my brows. I use this black shadow. Yeah, this is my everyday palette, my holy grail. Show us your most colorful palette. And that would be this one. I realized I didn't even open it up and show you guys before, but this is the palette. It's just a rainbow palette. The black and the white are awful, but that's okay because I got my Life's a Drag. The red isn't that great either. Whenever I use the red, I always use like a red lipstick underneath. It's an alright palette. It's not like super duper quality. I don't know if Morphe used their typical formula for this palette, because I remember using the Jaclyn Hill one for my friend. I did her makeup for her wedding, and she had the Jaclyn Hill palette, and it was way better than the quality in this one. So show your smallest palette. That would be this one. So like I said, I really want to support Indigenous owned brands. This is Billy Beauty, and let's see, this has 5 shadows. Billy Beauty has a couple different eyeshadow palettes that are like all 5 pan. They have like a colorful one called Jingle Dancer, which I almost bought just because of the name, but I was like, no, I don't need colors, but like I needed neutrals either. And I actually really like this palette. Whenever I use this palette, to be honest, I haven't done a different look with it. I've only done one look. I really need to try and do more looks with it. I know I can. And the look that I do, I use all 5 of the shades. So yeah, really cute palette. I will be linking all of these brands down below actually, but look for Billy Beauty. They got some other items as well. Show your biggest palette. This is where we're starting to get repetitive here. This is my biggest palette. How many shades does this even have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 25 shades. Okay, next question. Show your palette with the best memory. Okay, so I sat here thinking for a bit, and I don't think I really form memories with my makeup. I know some people do. They might be like, I was wearing this palette when this happened or whatever. I don't, and I think it's just because I don't really remember what I was wearing that particular time or whatever, or I might be wearing like multiple palettes. So after much pondering, I decided to go for this puppy, and that would be because of the uproar that was involved with this palette. Yes, this is an original from when it first launched. I remember like seeing boxes and boxes of these at TJ Maxx because they like it was such a bad launch that they couldn't sell them, so they gave them all to TJ Maxx, right? So this is the palette. As you can see, I've used it quite a bit. This is broken, and then this, I think my kids might have like dug into it. I actually really like this shade though, because it's like an iridescent, like white, pink, shimmery highlight type color, so it actually looks pretty cool. The browns are pretty useful, but basically all the shades, you know, besides the shimmer, all of these shades over here were just trash. This shade also, this electric, you can't really tell in the, let me see if I can, it's like a greenish type shimmer, and I actually really like that one too. So the white shimmer and the green shimmer, those were the ones that I was really into. This shade was also kind of trash. And you know, what's funny is this palette, besides like blendability and color payoff issues, like the colors just didn't show up on the skin the same way that they were in the pan. Another issue that people had was the fact that it just, when you set your brush into the pan, like so much product would pick up, right? And like you've seen all my other palettes, like my Anastasia one. Let's compare, shall we? This one I used like every day for a while, for like 6 months. I used it for every day, actually probably longer than that, every day. And this one I only used like a handful of times, and it's like almost the same amount of product that's used. So that's bonkers. So that's why I choose that one for the best memory, because man, that was a shit show. Next question, show a palette worth the hype. So besides this baby, I'm not going to show it off again, and I'm never going to shut up about it either. I decided to go with, here it is, Soft Glam. This palette had a lot of hype about it. The neutral gals were into this palette. This black, awesome, absolutely love it. As you can see, it's been used a lot because I also like to use this black on my eyebrows as well. But yeah, this palette had a lot of hype, and I definitely think the hype is worth it. I really love this Dusty Rose shade. It's got some repeat shades from Modern Renaissance, like this burnt orange and the cypress umber. This rustic shade is, see it, all of them. This mulberry, all of them. All of these shades are just exquisite. I love it. I really need to dig this out more often too. It's a really good palette. Show a palette not worth the hype. This thing. I remember everybody loved that Modern Renaissance palette, and then Subculture came out and people were like, what the fuck? And then after that it was like Anastasia was like trying to redeem themselves after the Subculture mess, and they came out with Prism, and I will be honest, it looked super cool, and that's why I got it. I was actually really hyped up about it. I really wanted this palette, this Dimension shade. It's like a icy bluish. Throne was also really popular. It's kind of like a blue and green iridescent. Sphere doesn't show up on my eyes. I don't really remember how this palette performs. I think it's normal, not like Subculture. Yeah, I can't really put these colors together. I had a hard time creating looks with it. Maybe that's why I never pick it up. Okay, show your favorite palette from a favorite brand. So as you can see, I have a lot of Anastasia palettes. Norvina is one that I haven't talked about yet. This palette doesn't really fall under any of these questions that I have here. It's a pretty good palette. Anyway, Anastasia girl has had some problems lately, and I'm not really sure how much I'm into them. Riviera was the last palette that I bought. I believe right after that was Alyssa Edwards, and then a shit ton of palettes. Basically there were like 10 palettes last year. The Jackie Aina one looked amazing, and I would have loved to have that palette, but I'm just sick of Anastasia palettes right now. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to have to say these two right here. I mean, this is the only thing that I have from Blended Girl, and Lunar Beauty, or Life's a Drag was the only thing that I had from Lunar Beauty until I bought one of his glosses like 2 weeks ago, which, by the way, I'm wearing it right now. This gloss, exquisite. So I'm just gonna say these two. I really like these, and they're the two that I've been reaching for whenever I do my makeup, which isn't that often, but show us your most used palette. That Modern Renaissance and Life's a Drag are my most used palettes, because I used this one by itself for like 6-9 months or some shit. It was really the only one I had. Even after I bought Subculture, it didn't work, so I never wore it. Yeah. This I've been using consistently as like a regular pretty much since I bought it in 2018. 2018. It was 2 years ago. I don't know when these things expire. It says 12 months on here to throw it out in 12 months, but it still works. So yeah, you have now seen every single palette that I own, and you've learned a little bit about what my eyeshadow interests are. I think what I'm interested in next is that that Cake Liner palette by Midas Cosmetics. Oh, that looks so good. The neon one. I want the neon one. The pastel one looks alright. I just don't really see myself needing pastel colors in liner, but the neon one, oh my, and it would really help me out greatly for Regalia inspired makeup as well. So I can't wait for Midas Cosmetics to drop that. And I also can't wait to purchase more from indigenous brands. There's a lot of them, and you know what, I'll make a list of indigenous owned brands and list them down below. You'll be seeing more of those on this channel soon. I just need to spend the money on them. So yeah, I hope that was entertaining, maybe even helpful. I really don't know. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye my pig woman.